but let's dive into these games. We'll play a game called So-and-So Wins If. Let's start in the AFC. Jeff, the defending Super Bowl champs. Kansas City wins this weekend if...
Two things. They run the ball effectively. The 13 wins of Patrick Mahomes' playoff career, they've rushed for over 130 yards per game. And two, explosive plays. You ain't going to move this ball methodically against that Ravens defense. You're going to have to find explosive plays, whether it's Kelsey, Rice, I don't care who gets it. MVS can go make some, but you're going to have to get some short drives to beat the Ravens.
Kmart, how about the other side? Ravens win if...
If we hear the names Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, and Patrick McQueen all throughout that broadcast, I understand Lamar's the guy, but Kyle Hamilton is so impressive in coverage. Look, I think that's going to be the matchup, guys, him and Kelsey. But when you get Roquan Smith and Patrick McQueen getting pressure, this is going to be a big game for those guys.
So that's the AFC championship game in the early slot. And then in the evening, we go to the NFC. Neek, the Lions will make the Super Bowl if...
Aiden Hutchinson continues to be a monster. I think the issue with this team early in the season for me was they couldn't rush the passer effectively, and they didn't have anyone opposite Aiden Hutchinson. But Aiden Hutchinson decided, I don't need nobody opposite me. I'm going to be the type of pass rusher that requires extra attention, which is something that the 49ers don't like to do. So if he continues to wreck games like he has been, I think the Lions got a chance.
Don't put him on the left side.
And then Swagoo, how about the 49ers? They win Sunday if what?
Ball security by Brock Purdy. They're 15-0 when he takes care of the football. And obviously we're figuring out if Debo is going to be back. But this team takes care of the football. They have time to sustain drives and then hit those explosive plays. They are the team to beat in the NFC. As long as he takes care of it, the 49ers got a real good chance of winning this football game.
They have a good team, but he needs more help around him because they ask him to be Superman too much. Suddenly things get crazy, and then he puts the cape on before the play's even finished, and then you cannot keep it up. Make it an efficiency game as well. Make it a Superman and efficiency. That's the superpower.
And when you hear blame in Josh Allen, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Josh Allen was daggone near perfect in that game. People said the last drive. Last time I checked, he got him in field goal range for a makeable field goal. Last time I checked, he might have had a touchdown pass to Shakir had it not been hit as he was throwing that football. This guy played his tail off, did everything he could, and anybody that associates blame with Josh Allen is nuts.
The problem is, I was having a surgical conversation with a scalpel, and then Mel and other people come in with a meat cleaver like, that's not what I was saying. And I think that's not what any of us was saying. And I think, Josh, the point that Steve Young was trying to make there, I think might have been a fair one. Pre-offensive coordinator change,
right?
I feel the opposite. When you have Superman, there's going to come where there's a couple little issues every now and then, but they did not use Superman in this game. They kept him under wraps until the end, and they were like, all right, now we need you, Superman. No, you got him. Let him kill that defense all game, and Kansas City had him where they wanted him, kind of, where they were just running the ball, not letting Josh Allen be special.
So suddenly this week, Josh Allen has become the most polarizing player in the NFL, with perhaps one exception that we'll get to later in the hour.
Ooh.
That said, we've not heard from Kmart, we've not heard from Swagoo on this yet. So Kmart, again, I'll remind everyone, you were a columnist in Buffalo before you joined us here at ESPN. You have as much insight into Allen and the entirety of his tenure there as anybody I know. What are the right things to say about him at this moment in his career?
This is a game, in my mind, that Josh should not be blamed for, right? I think it's a silly question of who deserves more blame, all that. But this was a game where, even rewatching it, I knew the final score, I knew how it ended, and I still sat there thinking, I can't believe Buffalo lost this game. And I think because I started the season sitting down with Josh and we went through the Houston playoff loss, that really destroyed him. The Kansas City loss, then the Cincinnati loss, coming off of that, a game I covered last year on their own home turf in Buffalo. This year was supposed to be different, and to see it end like this was a game where you think, okay, if not now, when? Like, when is it going to be the Bills' time? Now, to Steve Young's point, he is correct in that they asked him to do a lot. Agree with you, Neek, that since Joe Brady came in, we've realized that James Cook is on this roster. Like, they can share the running responsibility and all that. But this was a game where I thought they do need more offensive help. But again, what is stopping the Bills? Like, what is real? Like, this is why, like, week one, I said if they lose to the Jets, I'm going to have more questions about the Bills than the Jets. And everybody thought I was crazy. but I'm looking at the roster, the age, the contracts. The window is open as long as Josh is there, but this iteration of the Bills, there's no reason Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer should not be Super Bowl champions during their time in Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's no reason. And I don't know if either of those guys will be on the team next year.
Right.
Von Miller, he signed for that Super Bowl run, hasn't happened. And you're looking at a lot of the cap hits, the dead money for these guys. It's almost $100 million in cap charges for some of their key players. This is a huge offseason for the Bills.
Yeah, and they're going to have to redo Allen's deal as well for financial reasons, which happens all the time, and they will. Marcus, we haven't had a chance to talk to you this week. As you have heard all of the conversation, and of course taken part in it on NFL Live and everything else, look at the smile on Marcus's face. He is ready. Go ahead. What are the right things to say today?
I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And, like, analyzing a quarterback now has become you blaming him. I mean, dude, we have said all season and talked about the greatness and the flaws of every quarterback. I've called Patrick Mahomes out for interceptions. I've talked about Lamar Jackson bad interception against Pittsburgh late in the game. We do this with everybody. I've talked about Tua not getting through his first read and what happens as the breakdown. If you are not blind, you can see that Josh Allen played a really good game, okay? And you can see that he's responsible over years for a lot of the success that the team has had. But is it okay to criticize the part of his game that's a problem? Or we should just stop talking about that and just tell everybody what they want to hear? Josh Allen is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills since the beginning of time, and I played in Dallas. You think I've heard scrutiny geared towards a quarterback? Of all the people on this network, do you believe that I've heard more scrutiny about the quarterback that was quarterbacking my team or the quarterbacks we talk right now? I can guarantee you I heard more about Tony Romo. And he did great things, and he had bad moments. That's just the way it goes. Now, let me get to the Josh Allen window. The window is not closed. He's too talented for the window to be closed. But it's more about Buffalo's offensive coordinator and more about the front office. The thing that the Kansas City Chiefs have done, and Mina Kimes talked about this, they've hit on draft picks that have played at a very high level, that they've taken late in drafts or even early. McDuffie, Karlaftis has come up big for this team. They got a minute who off of free. The players that they bring in, they've hit big. Pacheco is one of the stars of this team as well. Josh is going to get more help. Hopefully, that's what Bean is thinking. And more importantly, Joe Brady is good for Josh Allen. He'll figure out ways for this to be more explosive. But when you take over late in the midseason, you got to figure out a way to fix something quickly. Now, if he's there and there's an offseason, I believe you will get Superman and also efficiency. And I've always said it. Josh Allen with other supportive people around him is just as dangerous as everybody else. His window is small because of Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's why the window is so small. It's not about Josh Allen not having talent to do it.
Their general manager, Brandon Beane, came out and said Stephon Diggs is still a #1 receiver. And respectfully, I say, no, he's not. The last time Stephon Diggs had 100 receiving yards in a game was week 6 of this year's regular season. I know what #1 receivers look like. He used to look like one, and he doesn't anymore. I don't know the reason. I don't know what's going on. I don't know that he can't still be one again, but he most definitely was not one this year. And I think that's one of the things they desperately missed.
Well, the reason matters, and you just said it. He can be one again. What you're not going to get better by doing is sending great players away. Stephon Diggs is great. If they have some reason to believe that he can't return to being great, then by all means, move on. But we're not trying to build an offense around only Josh Allen. That's the point that that I think they're making is you need somebody that you can give the ball to take pressure off Josh Allen, which will reduce the Superman need and reduce the problems with that offense. And Stephon Diggs, let us not forget, Josh Allen was teetering on bust probability.
Yeah, right.
Stephon Diggs showed up, and everything changed.
Right.
So I think maybe he's not the guy anymore, but I still think he is.
Right, well, that's the question, is he? And if he is, then what happened to him? And if he isn't, then they need to go out and find someone who is.
Well, we talked about this midway through the season before the trade deadline. Go get another receiver. Go bring another guy in. It didn't have to be a one, but you have to take some pressure off of your one. And I think what you're seeing is when you get so fine focused on one player and being able to take it out, no different than what happened happened with A.J. Brown in Philly, right? You start off hot, things are going well, and all of a sudden teams go, well, wait a minute, we'll take this guy out. Make Kincaid beat us, make Davis beat us, make somebody else beat us. Then Cook becomes kind of the hero of the moment. But what you see is explosive plays matter. And if you're only going to take a shot to one guy, defenses are smart enough to figure that out. And so I would say this. Can he be? Absolutely. Was he at the end of the season? No, but they weren't featuring him that way either. And the other part of that is at that last drive, he was open on some throws and chose not to go there. So we have to be careful of where are you trying to take the ball. You take the shot on second down to go hit the home run, but there's somebody open, right? And so you know, as you're looking at his numbers, you always have to say, okay, what else did we do that helped or kept or suppressed his numbers?
All right, so for the time being, those will be the final words on Josh Allen. There's a lot of other things that we got to get to today.